Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Leese, and since Wicked came out, it's only fitting that we have the Wicked bitch from the north, Meagan Duhamel, to be on the skating lesson. Meagan Duhamel.
An introduction. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was like trying to fit it in. I was laughing to myself. But
That's,
anyway, how are you
that's
doing?
fine. You can call me what you want. That's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm easygoing.
Yes. Well, I see that you're adult skating. Okay, tell what's going on in your adult skating journey.
Oh, it hurts my body. So my back has been out for like a week now since I skated last week.
Okay.
My back's been like in a spasm.
Okay.
Um, I was skating a lot in September, sorry. I was skating like 2 or 3 times a week in between lessons. Like if I had like a half an hour in between lessons, I would get on the ice and skate. And then I was like thinking that it would be really fun to compete at the adult provincial championships, which are in March.
Okay.
Skating Ontario's adult provincials.
Right.
Um, and then since I decided that that's what I wanted to do, I haven't had time to skate that much or do my Pilates and do all the things that I like to do. So I haven't had to register yet for that event, but it's still like in the back of my mind, maybe that would be fun um, to challenge myself and see like what type of spins and choreography and entries and exits and jump combinations and things like that I can do and just have a goal, like something to work towards. That's my goal, not my students' goals or not my kids' goals and family. Like it's just something
For
selfishly
you.
for myself.
Would you make a new dress or would you use one of your favorites?
I would probably use like an old one, but like honestly, I don't even know if any of my dresses would fit me anymore. Maybe I'd have to get a new dress made, um, which could be fun. But if I'm only competing once, I don't want to like make a huge investment into a costume. But yeah, I have no idea if any of my dresses would fit me. I'm not in the shape I used to be. I've
It's
had two
okay. You've had two
kids.
kids,
I've
Megan.
had two kids.
You've had two kids and you're not at the Olympics. You're allowed. It's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. I had two C-sections, so like my stomach is not the same.
It's okay, but this is good. So you need to get, you told me you were going to have level four spins. This was your goal, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm a pretty good spinner, I will say. But I'm having a really hard time. I have two level four combination spins, but it's almost like I'm going to use up all my features on those, and then I have to have a third spin, and I can only get it to a level two right now. I'm having trouble.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
Now,
A
how are
little
the jumps going? I
overwhelming.
saw Kurt Browning commenting on your jumps on your last post. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all my like I can do all my doubles. Not a double axel. Of course, I'm way too scared to step forward into a double axel. I practice my triple sow every now and then. But for like the first time in my life, it's under rotated. Like I'm definitely getting the arrow with the fall. I can't rotate that fast anymore. So I don't think I would try a triple. Like I would get all my jumping boxes with like a double let's double toe and a double loop single axle combination and stuff like that.
Okay. Is it fun to like think of this stuff again?
It is actually. And then some days I think I like set my jump patterns and then like the jump combinations I want. And then I come to the rink and then I'm like, oh wait, I think I could change that and that. Um, I still can't do a double toe by itself because I have this piece of bone floating around in my left foot. And it's
Okay.
been there since about 2016. And that's when Eric and I took out our triple toe and put our triple sow in. Um, so it's been bothering me for a really long time and it involves like it requires surgery and I'm just at this point not going to get surgery. So when I do a double toe on its own, it really hurts. So I
Okay.
can't use a double toe by itself. So like that kind of affects my jump box windows.
You have to
I
go
can do it
all
in
in with the
combination.
flip and lutz. Okay. You have to, yeah.
But the problem is that I get an edge call on my flip. So I've been working really hard to do an inside edge on my double flip.
Okay.
And I have a new like technique and a new setup. And it's less flat than it used to be, but it's still kind of flat. So I don't know, maybe they're going to be like nicer technical specialists in adult competitions where I can be on a straight line and they'll still give me the inside edge.
They
I don't know
might.
how strict they are. I don't know.
It's pretty strict in the US, I have to say. I mean, obviously, adults, we have our bodies. They're not kids' bodies, so they're different things. They're really
Yeah.
strict about how low your sit spin is. They're definitely strict on the Lutz edge. I don't know about the flip, actually. I would have to look at that.
Like my flip's just always been super straight. I don't hit the outside, but I don't hit the inside. But I've changed my technique. I have a little exercise into it, and I changed it from the mohawk to the three turn. So like it's slightly more edgy. I have a couple more months to work on it. So we'll see, but it's in the plan. Like I'm planning a double flip. And if I
I've
get
learned an
the or
outside
the
edge.
watch out, I'm gonna be really sad.
Okay, I've learned an outside edge lutz. I just haven't practiced it, and recently I've been working on other things. But yeah,
Okay. Are you competing anytime soon?
it's always up for debate, right? It's potential, but we'll see. I'm working on a lot of other stuff, so we'll see what fits in with the year and planning and stuff like that. So, but I'm skating all the
You have
time.
like a lot more competitions too in the States than we do.
Yes.
Like we
Yeah.
have the provincials and then you have like a couple small competitions that adults can go to, but I'm not ready for those like small competitions yet. And I don't have time for them.
Okay.
But I've kind of like sectioned off this one weekend in March that I might go to Ottawa to compete.
Okay. And then it's like if like Worlds are in Boston, so I have to make a decision soon because like I'll either go to Worlds in Boston or I'll compete or I'll do, one or the other. So yeah,
Is there like an adult competition in Boston sometime around Worlds that you can just
no, it's just like the sectionals are around there, and like I'm the type of person that wants to practice before like I don't take a week off right before I compete. So
yeah.
it's like my brain doesn't work like that. So all right, let's talk about Cup of China. This was a really tight pair competition. It's interesting between the Italians and the Germans. First of all, who did you think should have won? I have questions from pair girls that want your opinions on things. Who do you think was better, the Germans or the Italians, and what do you see as the difference?
So I'll tell you my analogy on it because I think they're both great. And I really, number one, admire both of their consistency. Both teams are incredibly consistent, which I admire greatly, especially with the big triple toe, double axel combination. So I see the Germans, I see Minerva and Nikita as this beautiful, refined, amazing quality black and white photo. And I see the Italians, and I put Riku and Ryuichi into this mix with the Italians as this photo that's like splashed in color, but it's a little bit messier.
Okay.
That they're just so different. Is a colorful picture that's a little bit splashy, which like appears unrefined, better or worse than a black and white refined picture? It's up to the preference of the judges and the viewer. I prefer the colorful splashes. That's the type of skating and energy that I prefer. Like I said, I admire the consistency of the skaters, but I do think it's easier in some way to be consistent as Minerva and Nikita if you are not pushing yourself to the limit. They skate so slow that it's almost like they're moving in slow motion. That being said, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think it could just be up for debate. I think they're both so different, but the best way I can describe it is black and white refinement or colorful splashes. And the Italians and Riku and Ryuichi, I'd say, are the colorful splashes. And I feel like just throwing all the pairs into this, Deanna and Max could be a bit of both. There's times when they're the refined black and white, and there's times where they're the color. I prefer the color as a viewer. That's just like the type of skating and the type of energy that I like to watch.
Hot take. Should Deanna switch either one of her programs?
Yes.
To one of last year's. Which one?
I don't even know if going back to last year's is a good idea. I think that they need to like go back to the drawing board.
I would go back to the oxygen program for the short.
But it's not even that different than what they're doing now. What they're doing now is all that breathing already. See, I don't know.
So the music is slow, and I feel like we're fighting it, and Beyonce is slow, and
And I think that like the key for them is that they need a good short to be in the final warm-up group at Worlds. Because right now, if we're like, well, we'll see at the Grand Prix final if everybody skates amazing where they're going to fit in. But
they did a great short at their last competition, though.
In my head, if everybody skates clean, including Ellie and Danny, Deanna and Max might find themselves out of the final warm-up group.
I feel like Ellie and Danny have gotten the biggest boost of all time this season.
I agree with you. I agree.
But there are improvements.
So we have to be honest with what could happen, right?
Yeah.
Worlds are in Boston, and I could see Ellie and Danny nailing that short and hitting a 75.
But does that worry you? Like, I feel like with the US, okay, Worlds are in Boston, okay? The last time the US really boosted a skater, it was Gracie Gold, who was obscenely talented, okay? But it was known the whole year that the push was for Gracie in Boston to win. All the pressure was on her, and it went horribly wrong in the free. Well, now we have Amber and Ellie and Danny, two teams with a lot of potential, like two entities, right?
Mhm.
I could see this
A
going.
lot of inconsistencies.
Yes. This is the
Yeah.
same arena where Vanessa Adler's Olympic dreams like blew apart. You know, like this building has a lot of drama. Ashley Wagner didn't make the Olympic team, but then was voted on to the Olympic team, you know, in this building. It worries me. There's some concerning about Boston. Things blow up in Boston. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they blew up in all the right ways for me. So I love Boston.
You love Boston. Okay, yeah.
I totally get where you're coming from.
Yuzuru Hanyu didn't win the free in Boston. You know, it just.
Well, he didn't win.
He didn't win.
Won Worlds. Javi won.
I know. So things blow up in Boston. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like strange things can always happen. But I do think like, so 2 years ago when Ellie and Danny first started like on the scene, right? I was like, wow, like they're scored really high for what they're doing because they really weren't delivering much technical content with with throw doubles that they would often like step out of and stuff. But they were scoring really high. So already the judges were really invested in them. And I get it, all the pair elements, like the lifts, the twists, the skating, the cohesive energy of the movement and the programs is very good. So the judges were really invested in them without the technical skills. So if they deliver the technical skills, it's going to be like insane. They're going to score so high. And I'm okay with it because I do see the quality in what they do. I do see the quality to their skating. I think they're both really great people. And I think that they work really hard from what I understand. But am I super confident that they're going to go on the ice under the pressure at home at a Worlds and suddenly land 3 throws? No, not really. But it could happen. And if it does happen, all those other pairs better watch out because those scores are going to be huge.
The good thing is that these are all of the skaters that the USFS is banking on for the team event. And I do think that the pressure of a home Worlds could potentially weed people out for the Olympic team event or show who should be in there. So that's a good
And I think it's also fun right now to have pair skating, like have so many people in the mix. Because for a couple of years there, we didn't really. So I think this is fun. I think it's great for the sport, even if it makes all the skaters themselves a little bit more stressed. I think it's really great because I mean, we can't really say who's going to be that final warm-up group of the free skate in Boston. It could be like 4 out of 6 teams. Any of the 6 at the final could be the top 4 in the short.
Okay.
In Boston. And if you want a chance for that title, you have to be in that final warm group.
Yeah, what I noticed here is I love the German skating and I like the precision of it and how clean and that their lines match. For whatever reason, I connected the most with their music at Nebelhorn, even though they switched it. To me, it was, I don't know, the background music worked for them because they're not expressing anything, really. But it worked better. I guess they kind of remind me of like early Tatiana and Max when like they put good music in the background, but it was really about their elements, right?
Yeah.
And they had...
And for a while, Tarasova and Morozov, depending on what the music choices were, where they had the most like spectacular elements. They had really nice lines. And at Tarasova and Morozov used to skate with speed for at least half of the free skate before it really died. But I have no doubt that Minerva and Nikita like understand that this is a weakness and they do need to, you know, up that. But I think skating back to back in the short with Riku and Ryuichi at the Grand Prix finals going to be a little bit of a detriment to the Germans' skating skills just because the speed will be so obvious.
It's not just that, you know, the short program, it emphasizes their lack of presentation and connection to music as well. And
connection to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little bit tougher. Now,
I love Sarah and Nick's short. It's one of my favorites of the season.
I like their short. They're free. I don't like it all. And I don't know what it is. I'm a Barbara fan, but I don't like the cut. And to me, I don't get any emotion in their free. I know it's supposed to be about relatives who passed away, but I don't see it. And it's, to me, it's a
falls flat for the standard that I think we expect from them. I think that's more it. With the Carmen and the short program, they really draw us in with their like zest and passion and like everything that I
wouldn't say it's a great Carmen, but the music does work for them. Like it's not great. Yeah, it's not great as a Carmen, but like it's good energy for them. Yeah.
But and they deliver the elements on the musical crescendos and they sell it and they have this passion with each other and they can really draw us in. When especially at Lombardia Trophy when they were performing that short for the first time, it's like they were like reaching to the rafters that aren't even in that rink to perform.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the long like falls a little bit flat. And I just
Falls
have
way flat
my
early.
one major thing with that team is the lifts. They are like the only team in the top 20 in the world that don't include the axel lasso lift. So they take a 1 point in base value hit on their planned lifts. And for some reason it really bothers me because I know that they can do an axel lasso. It's just such a high risk thing for them that they don't want to take that chance. But that really bothers me because every pair in the long program at Worlds will have the reverse lasso and the axel lasso except for them.
What about their
Oh.
relative lack of transitions compared to the other teams? Does that bother you, the complexity?
Like it does, but then they kind of make up for it with their energy or their investment in the energy. But I agree, their programs lack transitional content. But they have great basic skating skills. So somewhere along the line, like I'm not as bothered because their basic skating skills, like as two individual skaters, are very strong.
Okay.
I'm more bothered by the lift than I am by their lack of transitions.
How about the twists here? What did you think? Like, whose twist do you like among the top pairs? What do you not like?
Minerva and Nikita have a fabulous twist.
Okay.
Fabulous. I'm always very, and I mean, Deanna and Max have the best twist probably of those top teams. But I'm always impressed that Sarah and Nick can get a level 4 twist in such like a small, compact skill because it doesn't explode. It's not fast, but it's very accurate. And they hit the steps, they hit the split, they hit the catch sometimes, and they bring the arms down. So I'm always like rather impressed that they can take their small, compact twist and turn it into a level 4. So they do like they still get so much points, even if to the naked eye, it's not like this huge, amazing skill.
Would you give them the GOE for it, or are you keeping the GOE less?
I'm like a +1 type of GOE. Like if I'm thinking of GOEs, like Deanna and Max would be in my +4. Nikita would be in my +3. Riku and Ryuichi would be the +2 to 3, depending on the day.
Okay.
And
So whose lifts do you like?
Sarah and Nick's a little bit less. The Georgians is pretty good. That's a pretty good quality twist.
Okay. Whose lifts do you like among the top pairs?
See, it depends.
Okay.
If I like speed and ice coverage, I like the Japanese lifts.
Okay.
They're flying down the ice and around the ice. Actually, the junior Japanese, Sumitada and Yuna, who came third in the long in Finland, they're flying even more. In terms of unique positions and unique variations, Deanna and Minerva have great lifts.
Okay.
The Georgians have good quality lifts, but I find his turns get a little dicey. When the guy is doing turns, it should be like a compact mohawk. Like you step to the quarter, you close. You step to the quarter, you close together. When Luca, the Georgian pair, he's doing his lifts, like he gets like this complete turn out and then his foot drags and it scares me a little bit, but he always seems to be in really great control. So I sometimes wonder, like, why am I scared? Because he looks like he's got it under control.
What do you think of the news that Sway has a new partner and is coming back?
Like wild. Like,
do you think this is for real or is this like a comeback? Like this is.
I'd like to know, like, what do they think? What are their plans? What are their goals? There's no way she can do these big triple toe, double axel combos and triple Siao. Like that's not gonna happen. So I'd like to know, like, what is the long-term plan? But I am like a little bit, like I said, like mind blown. I didn't see that coming at all. So I'm surprised, and I wonder if she wants to do it or the Federation is making her do it.
Well, it seemed like she does post herself skating a lot, so she must enjoy it.
Not doing any like high level.
True.
Like I post myself skating a lot too, but is me posting a double flip on the wrong edge?
Meagan, I think you would come back.
Really like taking something to another level? No. So I don't know.
stunned that she would want to try, although enough time has passed that it's a little.
That's what I wonder. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be really hard for China to get a spot for the Olympics. So they're going to have to go to the qualifying event in the fall to get their spot, which will be
Listen,
super.
Kosternaya came back for a year and a test event, and then now she's taking a 2-year hiatus, right?
Do you think she's going to switch countries? Is that what they're doing?
I think there's a couple of things. People have, I mean, it's horrible, but people obviously, the first thing people did is pointed out pregnancy because they thought 2 years. Listen, I think 2 years would also open up if they wanted to change countries at that time.
And you don't have to sit out then at that point because they've already sat out these 2 years.
Yeah, but how do you stay motivated for 2 years to train enough?
I just don't buy it. I just don't like buy that something like this is possible.
I don't think it's going to happen at this point in time.
Nope.
Like, she's had too many things happen in her career that it starts
It was
to be
just
like
a weird statement. Like, I'm going to wait 2 years. Like, it didn't make sense to me.
She also said that she was in the hospital for pneumonia and that it was going to be too much for her to compete. And then we saw her do a triple flip, double axel on Instagram right after. So I just don't know what's up with her. I don't know what the truth is. And I'm confused. I don't really know.
We're just going to wait till 2026 and then we'll be like, oh, this was the purpose.
It's weird because they did the team event. It looks like they were training for real. I know that Tchaikovskaya said that they still looked like two single skaters. I don't know if that really hurt her. I don't know if they saw like, we're never going to break into the top pair.
Maybe. I don't know.
It depends how long Boykova and Mishina keep skating for. And I mean, they're not going to beat them, but there are a lot of other teams. I don't see it happening at this point. If you're taking 2 years off already,
I think you're going to be switching to Georgia.
Switching shows. Just
they'll like probably be planning on switching, and then like by the end of the 2 years, the plan will have changed and whatever else they're doing.
How about Leah and Trent here? What did you make of their effort?
Their long was better. I'm not really a fan of either of the programs, so especially the short, which I just feel like their skating lacks a lot of cohesive energy. I know I used that word earlier. And I find that over the last 3 years, their technical elements have taken a decline, which you remember when they first came out, I was like, they're going to be so good. And I was super confident, super into it. And then last year, like the twist got a little bit worse. They got more inconsistent. And now the throws have kind of gone. They're back to a throw Siao in the short and it's small, stuck, a little bit awkward. So I'm not sure. I don't really know them or anything about what they're doing, but I do wonder what happened for the decline to have come so drastically when they had so much promise.
How about Emily and Spencer? Emily Chan and Spencer Howe. What are you making of them? They've had injuries, although they have competed a couple of times this season. What are you making of them right now?
I just don't know how invested they are. Like they missed the side-by-side spin in Finland, right, in the short. And then he said, we just didn't have time to practice the small elements after Skate Canada. We only had time to practice the big elements. That was his comment. But I was like, you literally had 2 weeks of training and you didn't have time to practice your spins. It was just like bizarre a little bit.
I understand if he meant
you should be practicing the big elements and the small elements every session, every day. So
yeah, it's a weird comment to make for sure.
I think if the US would like to get
health related though, like are they
for the Olympics, they need Efimova to help them get that spot that she won't use. And then they're gonna have to promise her something in return. I don't know what.
I think with Emily and Spencer, their health has been really up and down, I believe between both of them, right? Like she had a concussion, he's had the shoulder. They've lost a lot of competitions in training time, and who knows how consistently they can train now. But it looks like it at this point. So.
It's just weird things. Like after the long at Skate Canada and the kiss and cry, he was like, wow, we need to train more. I'm tired. He said something like that. But then he went to Finland and said like we didn't have time to practice the small elements like the
he was tired. Okay.
It's your job. I know he's like selling real estate too, but this is your job.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just like some of those weird things. I'm just a little bit more right now in the Efimova and how do I say his last name? Misha.
Yeah,
Alyssa and
Misha
Misha.
Bonov. A few
And I
more-
think that the key for the US having 3 spots for the Olympics will lay in them.
How about the Japanese? You obviously know a little bit more about the Japanese than most. What do you expect them from the final? How much of this is like health and age related and them peaking at the right time?
I think a lot of their competing is mental. I don't think like missing a pair spin at NHK had anything to do with their
Yeah.
health. That was just like unlikely, like an unlikely mistake. But I think like they showed up at Skate America really ready. They have the highest short program score in the world by a couple points. So I think, as always with them, if they deliver and skate clean, they're easily the team to beat. They just don't often deliver and skate clean. But for them, the
Do they
cards are
practice clean?
a lot, yeah,
Okay.
a lot cleaner long programs than you see in competition, yes.
Okay.
And just regularly clean shorts that could score in the 80 range is
Okay.
what we would see on a regular basis, and cleaner longs, like maybe one miss longs every time they run along. Whereas in competition, it's usually like 2 or 3 small things that happen in a long, not just one thing. But I think that the cards are in their hands. If they deliver, those scores are going to skyrocket. They scored 137 and 136 in their longs on the Grand Prix with like 3 errors in each long program.
Okay.
That's what the other teams are getting right now, clean. So again, it'll come down to if they can deliver. And that's what will matter most. And I think for them, delivering in the short program is like of utmost requirement, because they can get a 3 to 5 point buffer on the other teams in the short if they deliver, which the Grand Prix scores have shown. It's just, that's where they struggle. That's why I say it's mental a lot.
Now, what's your take on Amber Glenn this year? She's going against Cowrie. We've seen her do the triple axel in both programs this year for the first time. She is getting the scores. Is this a Boston bump as well? Do you think there's a lot of push, behind Amber?
A little bit, probably a little bit, but I think she brings like a fresh blood and a fresh face to the women's skating scene. I will say I was so happy at Cup of China that she did a 3-jump combo in the long, because
Okay.
like I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen her in her entire career try a 3-jump combo, and it was like kind of my biggest pet peeve with her, that she was just like, no, I don't need the points of a 3rd jump in a combo, and she just wouldn't step for a single axel or a double toe or a double axel on the end of something. And then now she went out and nailed the 3-jump combo. So like, to me, that's amazing. I think that like she brings, like I said, a fresh energy, a fresh face. She's got the consistent triple axel, which is obviously helping her scores, because now she's just seeing in a higher echelon with the judges.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think with her, there's so much buzz about Amber, and there's a lot about the triple axel. There's a lot about her personal story. And I just know that in skating, like, as viewers, we project things onto skaters, right? With their emotion and Amber, and there's all this stuff about, her mental health and her sexuality and all of this stuff. I do think her programs could be more interesting and just have more pizzazz. I mean, she's basically done the same long for 5.
Yeah, her shorts don't bother me as much as her long. Her longs tend to fall flat.
Yeah.
They usually fall flat, and also she falls off the curve in the second half, which
Yes.
when she nailed the second half in China, I don't find it as flat, because she's at least delivering the skills in the second half that she, hasn't for so long.
And her components are good, but then when she's against Mone Chiba, then I'm like, okay, Mone Chiba is maybe a point higher or 0.75 higher in terms of
Which
each.
she will be if Mone Chiba also delivered a clean long. Like, she fell on her footwork, and we need to remember when watching, and I think like a lot of like skating fans forget that, I think it was last year or the year before, there's a new PCS required deduction when you have a major error. So
Yes.
Mone Chiba falls on her footwork. That's a required PCS deduction. Her
Yes.
PCS is limited. She cannot, even if it was better than Amber's.
Yeah.
Like, because she
No,
had a major
I'm looking
error
at
and Amber
Amber.
didn't.
I'm trying to figure out where Amber could really place internationally, right? And like where she
Well, I
would
mean,
deserve.
Kaori is so inconsistent that at this point, I say she can win if she delivers.
That's a big if for
And
Amber,
Kaori
but
doesn't really have a great long program this year either. Like that jazzy,
the Chicago is not great. No.
like, yeah, it's just a little novice for me. So I think that Amber's potentially flat free skate is more mature.
Mhm.
and
do
she
think
can
she's
deliver
ready
more
for something
technical
more.
content. So
I think
within-
Amber's, I would take the short program even edgier compared to what she does now. I mean, this Janet Jackson song isn't one of her more well-known songs, and I think it could be even edgier. And I think she
maybe it
has,
will come with more confidence. The more she skates clean, the more she delivers, the more confident she'll be to
yeah,
really sell that footwork at the end of the program or something.
yeah. The free, they fall flat and generic, and I have a hard time. Like, I'm thrilled that she went clean. I'm thrilled for her. If I'm looking at quality, and she's against some of the Japanese skaters are doing so many difficult transitions and turns and really
And
musical. Yeah.
the
But
one
no,
that came second at Skate Canada and in Finland, I always
sorry,
forget the name. Rion
Mitsuki. Reno
Mitsuki.
Mitsuki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to me, if I'm looking at the girls in the Grand Prix final, the women in the Grand Prix final, she is at the utmost quality of anybody else.
Yeah.
In terms of program, in terms of technical content, delivering, but she
Yeah.
also tends to under deliver in the short program, so take herself out of contention already.
How about our girl Wakaba? She has made a comeback like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Do you think she has the triple axel in her this year?
Oh, I don't see her trying that. I don't see
Does
that
she
being a
need it to
priority.
make the world team?
No, because I was just saying actually, like Japan's gonna have a hard time picking their world team because it's very important who they send because they have to get those 3 spots for the Olympics. And if
Yeah.
they send the wrong girl that bombs the short
Mhm.
and takes that out of contention for that 3rd spot, they're screwed. So I think the Japanese Federation is going to look at consistency when naming the world team. So I don't think Wakaba will attempt a triple axel based on that.
You know,
But she won a Grand Prix, so she's got this on some of the
I
others.
didn't mention Mone Chiba last week because I was thinking about Matsuki. It's going to be really hard for Wakaba to make it, and I'm a fan.
I agree, but if she medals at the Grand Prix final,
yeah,
that's her way in. She needs to medal at the final if she wants a chance at Worlds.
yeah, it's a tough.
That's the way I see it, anyways.
Yeah, Mone Chiba, to me, I really like her programs. She has real programs. They're two different programs, and they're different than what she's done in the past.
Her exit of her double axles, absolutely incredible.
Okay, so someone pointed out to me that she's reminiscent of Christy Yamaguchi, especially in the upper body and in her precision. I think her feet could be a little cleaner, but in terms of her turnout, but she's so wonderful that I really appreciate her skating.
And she seems to be way more consistent this fall than she was last season at this time.
Yeah. What about you?
She just came on the radar at 4 continents last year. And now, and then like had the bad short program at Worlds, so kind of took herself out of contention there. But seems to have found some sort of consistency so far this season.
No, who are you liking for the US world team for Boston?
Oh, there's like so many options for the women's event. I think it's insane. Like
Your team Sarah Everhart.
I mean, Sarah's consistent. I think that
Yeah.
in terms of who is going to draw me into her performance, she's not at the top of that pile, but if she delivers and does the triple triples and delivers under pressure like she seems to be able to do, math is going to math.
Yeah, they didn't name her to Zagreb, and usually they name skaters to Zagreb that they're looking at for Worlds, or that
But maybe they will name her now that Amber Glenn's out because Amber Glenn's in the final.
Because they sent Alyssa and Brady. To me, I think that they would send Sarah because those are kind of the 3 that they're looking at, and we don't know what's going on with Isabeau. So,
I mean, if you're taking Isabeau out of the conversation, I think Alyssa enters into like a pretty secure spot for me, especially because of the strength of her short program.
Yeah,
her long programs falls pretty flat. It doesn't have that organic energy like her short program does. But she's been pretty consistent this year after not competing for 2 years to just show up and compete and deliver the goods as consistently as she has been. I think that that's somebody that the FSA will like on the world team, and it's a good story. It's a good story. It's a good story.
I do worry about the jumps and how clean they will be, and when you're up against all the best in the world, those undercalls could matter more. But I think Alyssa has the potential to really grow a lot.
Yeah, and I think that she could put herself in a good position after the short program. And I'm not so sure Brady or Sarah or at this point even Isabeau could do that.
I mean, Brady is consistent. That's her calling card. She skates fast.
Her ceiling of her scores is just
Yeah,
been stagnant.
Sarah, I worry about the second mark against the best skaters in the world.
And she would skate super early in the short program at Worlds because of her world standing.
Yeah. So all the things to think about. That's why they need to send Sarah to Zagreb. We need points for the yes. What else did you make of the women's event here? There was a lot of people at a similar. Oh, we've been talking about the themes of these programs and how out of hand they are when Mark announces the themes.
I saw your video that you posted. They are portraying.
They are portraying. To me, the
These
kicker.
choreographers are on like some insane amount of drugs with those themes.
To me, the kicker is the photosynthesis program.
And for Mark to say that with a straight face. Maybe he doesn't have a straight face. We don't physically see his face.
I want to know what he's thinking. I think he's so in the zone when he's saying it.
Him.
He's trying so hard. I want to know if he's laughing, but he seems like he's just like in the moment trying to read the
and trying to draw us into these wild themes that are just elaborate and out there, and then the way that they skate doesn't even make sense with the theme that they're trying to say. Like,
so our viewer Ryan edited the video. Shy. We were laughing about it. It got to us when it was talking about the blessed rain, but it started when Luca Bricci was talking about going through galaxies and times and space. I was like, what are we talking about?
When do you have time in your program to go through this? Like, as you're setting up your quad toe, you're going through these galaxies.
What's happening?
It's just, yeah, that was a little bit wild. And your video made me laugh last night when I saw it.
So anyway, it's just about all the skaters getting out of hand. But yeah, I also like Yuna Aoki. You know, the Japanese.
Yeah, I like her too.
She doesn't have a shot in heck at this world team, but
she doesn't because her beautiful jumps are just like all the under rotation and the questionable calls.
Yeah.
But I think the other skaters should be asking her to choreograph their programs.
Yes.
Because she choreographs a lot of her own programs and they're amazing. So I think that, you know, she could really find her calling choreographing for her competitors.
What also the Korean women have had such an up and down year. We hear that
I love Chaeyeon Kim. I'm going to say it wrong and everybody's going to.
Okay. You like her. What do you like?
I like the intricacies of her program, and I'm very intrigued with all these intricacies that she moves through and she passes through with her arms and her body, how disconnected her chin to her head is. And it really intrigues me how she's so invested with her arms and with the shapes of her body and her transitions and so disconnected with her head. So to me, I just find it like super intriguing, but I love her programs. If she could only get invested in her emotional involvement and in her face, I think that she is talking like in territory of world title.
She definitely exhibits the signs of someone who trains her program maybe more than one time per day, just about the aggression and how it's seamless. It's almost like a gymnast in terms of like she's going. There's nothing getting her way.
I also have to say, like, I respect that a lot of the Korean skaters, they skate to very classical and slow music, and she really tries to skate to different genres. And like I said, has that like 75% commitment with her body from shoulders down.
What do you make of Kimi Rapond?
She skated great. She got 2 like PBs, which was really good for her. I like skating that just has a little bit more power than what she brings to the table. So for me, it's just like not really my preference of what I'm gonna love, but I appreciate what she's doing, and she is fairly consistent in terms of delivering. I just think that she gets lost in the shuffle a little bit because of the lack of energy, emotional commitment. The music is a little bit boring for me.
I would send her to actually work with Carolina because while she's tall, she doesn't extend.
She's got like potential to have the shapes like Carolina.
Yeah, but she doesn't yet because she doesn't actually stretch her limbs.
Carolina's former coach, so maybe there's hope.
Yeah, I would also want Kazuki to work with Carolina. I think that he could really benefit from her as well. Because I like what she's doing with Yuma and the improvements. But
yeah.
I thought that that's the women's event. Okay.
That was a hard women's event.
It was very hard. They were
Maddie Skeezes just kind of got lost in the shuffle there in the bottom of the pack.
Yeah.
With the level 2 footworks.
Okay.
But I will say, like, moving to the men's event, that I really like Mikhail from Kazakhstan. I think that he should have been a runaway winner. I so disagree with the results. I don't know, and I will like argue with anybody who says that they would rather watch Shun Sato's free skate than Mikhail's. Mikhail was like performing that like he was having the skate of his life. And yeah, sure, his skating skills aren't so strong, but he was invested in the performance and he delivered. And I just found Shun was nice and a little boring.
I agree with you about Shun. To me, he picks nice music. He has nice skating skills, but nothing is wow. No,
and like when Mikhail is the skate of his life, it was so wow. And I just like the difference in the free skate scores just for me was so wrong. And I really believe that Mikhail should, based on his 2 performances at his 2 Grand Prix, he should be going to the Grand Prix final. And I have a little bit of like, I understand how the Grand Prix final works and it goes by placements. But then when I look at these sheets, okay, and so Daniel Grazel has qualified for the Grand Prix final, but 4 guys underneath him who didn't qualify all scored higher at their events than he did. And so like, this isn't the first time this has happened. This happens in every discipline, every season, it seems. But I think there's got to be a better way to decide who qualifies for the final, because score for score, skate for skate, he's not the 6th best one. He really, score for score, would be 9th or 10th.
Yeah. And it's all about who you're against at which event, and it's so relative. And
like people withdraw, so then sometimes an event gets easier because somebody withdrew or like whatever it is. And I don't agree. Like competition for competition, Mikhail had 2 better competitions than Grazel did. And he won the free skate in China, and he doesn't go to the final. I don't agree.
Okay, what do you make of the Dune programs this year? Are you pro Dune, anti Dune? Yeah.
I think that Olivia and Tim have the best free dance in the world.
Yeah, they do.
When I watched at Skate America, I was like, I don't even know this music. I know nothing about Dune, but I was like, man, they're selling it to me. I love it. And even though I don't understand it at all. So to me, it was like the detail put into every movement in that program is world class. And like, I mean, I know their scores are improving, but their scores should be way higher for that performance. And I have to say for the ice dance, I think the Finnish free dance,
loved it.
It is so thought out and so well delivered. And I also like, to me, Olivia and Tim and the Finland ice dance team, their free dances are above and beyond what anybody else in the world is doing this year.
I agree with you.
And it's just unfortunate that the panels haven't seen that, or if they have seen it, they haven't scored it appropriately.
And the Finnish had a small error at the end, which costly.
They did, but like I'm also basing this off of their performance in Finland too, which happened last week or the week before last week. And it just, both of those free skates are so thought out. They're so purposeful and they are delivered with so much intention. And I don't find them gimmicky, which I like. And there's a lot of skating. There's less standing around, and I'm like, those 2 free dances like have me like hook, line, and sinker sucked right in.
But the Dune program I was going to ask you about, I was leading you, is the Adam Siao Himfa where he lays on the ice for the minute, which, is a
I don't love it as much as Olivia and Tim. That's why I
don't love it as much, but okay. To me, there's something so ridiculous about this program that I'm starting to get more invested, even though he's not my favorite skater. I like someone with all the skating skills and all but it's so French. It's so over the top. It's so Benoit. But when he
confuses me, like Adam confuses me. Like with this 2 short programs, but neither one of them's really that good. I was super excited.
I really don't like the new short. I do not.
I was like all in for Gangster's Paradise. I thought it was going to be amazing. I was disappointed. I don't like, he confuses me with his decisions, with the layout of his programs. Apparently he's like super injured. Why is he competing? I think that he could use a fresh take on choreography and maybe steer clear.
And his short with the SOS is the nightmare that I'm talking about. Like, I just remember Scott Hamilton would do like these ballads, or Brian Orser, and they would still put the backflip in because people expected them to do it. To me, it doesn't match the SOS music.
It doesn't fit at all. It doesn't fit at all. Sorry, I was on the Gangster's Paradise because it was a program I was excited about.
Yes.
Like, no, it doesn't. Like, what's the purpose of doing a backflip if this is the program and the music that you're choosing?
Yeah.
It didn't fit. Do a backflip like when you're skating off the ice to the kiss and cry, if that's what you really want to do, but not in that program. It doesn't fit.
The Dune program is cohesive. The Dune program works, even with the laying on the ice, and it's so ridiculous. But you know what? It's a complete thought. It suits him. Yeah.
I just think he'd be better maybe to try some fresh choreography inside, although I know he won't because that's his coach, but
okay. In ice dance, there's a lot of momentum with Marjorie and Zach. People love them, but they have Piper and Paul ahead of them. And a lot of people think that the missing link for them moving ahead could be Skate Canada deciding that they would be the top team. Do you think they would have to beat Piper and Paul outside of Canada before they could move ahead nationally for a team that's so established like Piper and Paul and so consistent?
I think it depends. Like last year, Marjorie and Zach beat Piper and Paul in a short dance somewhere. Do you remember one of the Grand Prix?
Yes, they did. They did at a competition. Yes.
So they've done that. I think that I don't think Marjorie and Zach have like memorable programs this year. I don't really think that so much about
Their
Piper.
free was better last year.
But they're so strong. They have so much speed. Their skills are so amazingly done that like it almost doesn't matter to me that their programs aren't anything special because what they do element-wise and skill-wise is so extraordinary. To me, if I was to watch somebody like fly across the ice and do their twizzle sequence or do their footwork or do any of their skills, I'd prefer to watch Marjorie and Zach. But I think that, yeah, Piper and Paul have more like political boost right now because they're world medalists, multi-time world medalists, and Marjorie and Zach aren't. And Marjorie and Zach didn't compete early in the season this year. And I think if they really wanted a chance to come out on top in Canada, they had to show up in August or September, not show up in November.
Yeah,
So
and for them,
that's going to be that's going to have been the deciding factor. If they would have shown up in like September at Lombardia or Nebelhorn or something and pulled some big scores, I think they could have, pulled even higher scores on the Grand Prix with the exact same skates.
yes. So a lot of people point out, how did Lila and Lewis get so many points, right? They're not as good as skaters as Marjorie and Zach.
But remember, they're not even scoring that high.
Correct.
Like,
they also go to every competition. They compete all the time and they're always consistent. So judges can rely on them. They know them. They like them. They see them all the time. So
like their free dance score would have only been third in China.
Yeah.
That won them last week or 2 weeks ago, the week it was. So like, yes, they're winning, but they're not really pulling huge scores. They're just capitalizing on opportunities. And I don't think anybody can complain about that. They're capitalizing on all these amazing opportunities.
Marjorie and Zach,
their fault that other people are faltering.
They had the concussion last year as well. So they missed out on opportunities last year. So the judges don't see them as often, and they don't see them beating other teams as often, right? In dance, it takes so long because it's so subjective. And I do think that they
momentum.
They could definitely beat the Italians this year. I definitely think with this.
I don't like either of their free dances this year.
You mean either program for the Italians? Not into it. The robots and the ketchup and mustard program.
No, I'm not sold. I'm not into it. I think that they're skating like a little bit bored.
Mm-hmm.
They seem a little bit bored.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I feel.
I think the other 4 teams. Hello, Bruno. We were talking about the Japanese. How is their programs going to be at the Grand Prix?
Dave asked me, do they skate clean longs at home? And I said, yes. Skate cleaner longs than they deliver in competition.
Yeah, always a bit better.
That's what I said. That's what I told him.
Yeah. What about Balaj and Audrey? What's going on there?
Recovering.
Yeah. What are they competing in Zagreb? They were listed
this week. No, I think they'll be fine. I think they had a little setback with an injury, and right now this year is to get ready for next season. It's always been, I've told you that from day one, right? And so my mindset has not changed. Just gotta, but they'll be good. They'll be really, really good.
Okay.
Issue.
Yeah.
Japanese just did a clean short.
Okay. Wait, Japanese did a clean short, you said?
Yeah, just now.
Okay. Clean triple toe?
Clean triple toe. Plus,
she doesn't do the under rotated toes at home. They're a nervous competition toe.
Okay.
But speed You know, remember like 3 years ago how fast they were?
Yeah.
Now they're a bit faster.
Yeah. So I wanted with the dance, from what you've seen. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Help.
No, I was just telling Bruno I'll go on the ice for the pairs as soon as I'm done with you.
Okay.
No rush.
So with the dance with Marjorie and Zach, we were talking about how Lila and Lewis have taken advantage of those opportunities, and Marjorie and Zach really need to. How important do you think the positions at the final will be towards the end of the season?
It's always important. Always.
Yeah. We have seen flips though, right? There were
More
Piper.
so in ice dance.
Yeah.
But we have seen those things happen where like Caitlin and Andrew won 2 Grand Prix finals in a row, and one of the years found themselves off the podium at Worlds.
Yeah.
I think it's important for momentum, but I also one like high profile judge told me once, and it's very true, that in January the second half of the season starts and it's a completely new chapter. There's new opportunities, and it's kind of like a fresh page for even the judges and officials. So as much as I think it's super important to rank yourself at the Grand Prix final, I do believe that you have the chance in the new year to kind of start that fresh page and turn things around if you act on it.
Mhm. Would you feel that shift as a skater after the final coming down? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you take time off over the holidays to get ready?
No, because nationals was always so close for us. We couldn't. I always took my time off between 4 continents and Worlds. I would take a full week because you had 6 weeks off. And you can't sustain like for 6 weeks to just keep trucking away. So we would take a week off, come back at like down the ladder a little bit and like rebuild ourselves back up.
Okay.
But I do understand the momentum a Grand Prix final can provide a skater. When I won my first Grand Prix final in 2014, when we beat Stoblova and Klimov and they had a great skate, then we went on the ice and we had a great skate. That was critical for us to go the rest of the season and win our first world title. It was critical in terms of building momentum, and it was also critical for our confidence that I was like, wow, like we could deliver under this enormous pressure. Because I remember that Grand Prix final waiting by the boards, and Stoblova and Klimov got whatever their score was, 142 or 143. It was higher than our personal best ever. And I remember looking at Eric and just being like, okay, well, we need a PB. We need to go on the ice and get a PB right now. Let's do it. And that was a big turning point for our confidence, for our mental game, and for our momentum.
Have you seen Mishin and Galyamov or Boykova Kozlovsky this season?
I haven't watched anything that's happening in Russia. If they ever enter back to the big competitions, I guess we'll see them, but I haven't watched anything. I just don't trust that skating world there at this point.
Yeah, I do. It's interesting because they talk a lot about the war being settled now on TV, which obviously would change potentially, although we don't know what it would happen with the IOC. You know, that conversation could potentially open up. It's like,
but if it ever opened up, we still have the rule that athletes need to have been neutral throughout the war. And we have photo and video evidence of the 2 pair teams you just mentioned being present with Putin during this war. So they will not be welcome back into competition anyways, even if Russia gets back. So
yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what the IOC does. And the IOC leadership is changing at the same time that everything is changing. So there's a lot that's up in the air. But I'm sure it'll be dramatic until the end of...
Never ending.
What was your moment of the week, if you had to pick it?
Oh, Mikhail's long program. That like seamless triple axel quad toe is just unbelievable. And I think like he came to his own as a performer, selling that free skate. Yeah, it's not a work of art, that free skate, but it doesn't always have to be. If you can sell it, it's a performance.
One thing I wanted to say about Marjorie and Zach, I think their free dance would be better if they go back to Hugo Chouinard, consider if maybe he edited their music, I'm assuming, because he usually works with the Montreal skaters. I think they need some interlude. It's just too long and
I think that's something that like skaters do throughout the season. Sometimes maybe like fans and people in the skating community don't realize that the music is like constantly being edited. After NHK, Riku and Ryuichi went to Montreal and they re-edited half their long program music. And like it might be so minor and minuscule, but in the big scheme of things, it's going to make a big difference. We did that with Hugo between nationals and Worlds in Boston. We felt like Adele was falling flat. we felt it at the end of our performance at nationals. We were like, oh, like it's a little bit boring. It's falling flat. So we re-edited the second half of our music and it made the world of a difference.
Yeah, I think they need to re-edit The Sound of Silence to get more impact out of it.
And there's a lot of like places to pull music from for a free skate like that and to add. And Hugo Chouinard works with this guy, Carl Hugo, who like will reorchestrate your music.
He orchestrated the Shoma Uno program with the dancing on my own. There's a piece that
he does so much. He's unbelievable.
So I think that I don't think they have it quite right. And I think between now and Worlds, that program could.
Even like between now and the final or Canadians, they could make those little changes.
Yeah.
What was your performance of the week?
Amber winning, I think, it was just, if you're an American and you've watched this girl come close so many times, I think it was really, really good for her to do a free skate. You could see when she did the 3-jump combo that Damon Allen was going crazy. So I think
she finally did the 3-jump combo. He was probably like, hallelujah.
Yes. And it had so much power.
Single axle on that combo. Like I text Caitlin Weaver after France and I was like, why does Amber just not do a 3-jump combo? Like, give me a logical reason. And she was like, it's in her head. She's in her head. And I was like, she needs to step for a single axle. She doesn't need to be all there in her head to step for a single axle. Mm-hmm. So then, when she did it, Caitlin texted me like, see, she did it. And I was very happy.
I do think now that she got like the elephant off of her back, it could happen. She's making a lot of progress this season, even though it's not perfect every time.
I agree.
Yes, you want to know what everyone else's moment of the week is? Hold it edge and look sexy, everyone. Bye now.